Maverick 100.9 Aggieland's country alternative. It's Corliss, and I'm always excited to see my friend and Aggieland artist, Will Carter. How are you?
Hey, howdy, howdy.
It's great to see you as always. You're always coming in with all the good news. You've been busy.
It is good to be busy. We spent too much time not being busy, so we got to make up for it.
You just cannot sit around and twiddle your thumbs, can you?
I absolutely cannot. I guess that's a blessing and a curse, but it's been good, man. We've cranked out the new album, and now we are blowing up the calendar. So we're definitely making up for that crazy that word we don't like to say.
Yeah. Lost time.
Itty bitty.
I do have to ask you because it's so funny that I think you are the only Aggieland artist that actually uses his Aggie degree and is a music. It's usually one or the other. It's either the musician, says, no, I'm not going to do music and I'm just going to work and use my degree, or I earned this degree, but I'm never going to use it. I'm a musician. You use both. And of course you've got the construction business and you were working in town a lot. And you told me you wanted to go to karaoke at the Tap. Did you ever make it?
I did. I went probably 3 or 4 times, and it was great. It's funny. I saw some of the same faces that I used to see when I was there. I don't really want to say how long ago, but when I was still a student and I was frequenting the place, I still recognized a few people. We sat in the exact same table right at the foot of the front of the stage. It was just like old times, except for, I don't know what happened. Everybody else got way younger. I stayed the same.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, that's pretty nostalgic, isn't it?
It definitely is, man. But it's just the whole, I love College Station. I it was crazy. My sister in high school, I wanted to go to UT because of the music scene in Austin. And my sister was diehard A&M. Well, I got a scholarship to A&M, so that sort of sealed my fate. Yeah. And I went there. I will tell you, and I say this all the time, if I could do it over, I would do it exactly the same. I loved absolutely every minute of my experience in College Station and at A&M. It's just I fit right in with the people there, the culture. Like, it was just a perfect blend. I would not have been happy in Austin or in UT. And I noticed that while I was at A&M, I had some friends that were at Southwest Texas, and some that were at UT, and some that were at UTSA and San Antonio. And I would, bounce around on the weekends, and it was always just good to come back to College Station, Sunday afternoon or whatever. And it just felt more like home to me.
Oh, I could totally agree with that. Cause I love Texas in general. My grandmother lived in San Antonio, and San Antonio was the reason why I wanted to move to Texas. And then, you've seen me everywhere. My husband and I have come to Houston to see you and your wife. And I travel a lot. I've got that traveling spirit, period. I'm just a gypsy, but College Station is the only place I could imagine calling home ever. Like, it's crazy how that works.
It's just got that down home feel, but it's not really a small town anymore.
No.
It's actually booming, but it still just feels, just the values there, just the vibe there, the people there. It's a beautiful place, and I absolutely love it. And so getting to come back for a few months, and I was up there every day for 4 or 5 months in a row, and it was real cool. I love getting up that way whenever I can, and it's, like I said, it's still the same at the core, but it has grown, but it's still got that feel that I loved when I was there, and it's still very present.
Yeah, and still enjoying it. I am so happy that you got to spend some time back here at home, as we'll call it. And we do have new music to chat about today. I'm really excited to be debuting this single because honestly, it's one of my favorites. It's called Wrong Side of Town. Tell me about this new single.
So this is a song that I have been playing for about 7 years now. And a long time ago, I was in a completely different band, but we competed in the country showdown at the Austin County Fairgrounds. And we won with this song and got to go play it at Billy Bob's and compete there at the state level. And it's been, it's one of those songs, man, I'll never forget this. This is the first song that I had played publicly. And as an artist that writes their own music, this is something that you never forget. But it was the first song that I played publicly and watched the crowd sing along to. And it was at Billy Bob's. And by the time we got to the second chorus, people, who had never heard the song were into it and were singing along with it. And it has been forever a crowd favorite at all of my shows. Now, I've had it produced twice now, and I was just never happy with it because, it was, a song that I've been playing for so long. It had a certain feel to it. And when you shipped it off to a group of studio musicians and they put their own spin on it, okay, maybe it was fine, but it wasn't the same song to me, right? And so I never released it again after 7 years playing it. So my radio team, had come to shows and had heard it. My management team had been to shows and had heard it. The crowd's always requesting it. Some, tons of friends and stuff are always asking for it. I'm like, you know what, we need to do it, but maybe we're going about this all wrong. Like, maybe we need, no pun intended, maybe we need to do what it is that the people like. And what the people like is coming to the live show and hearing the song, and they love it. And so rather than try to do anything different, let's just go to the studio and record it. And so I brought the band with me, and this is the first song I've ever done this for. I mean, I've got, a full album, two full albums and an EP that have all been, produced the same way with, I'll write the song, I'll play the acoustic guitar, but then, studio musicians will come in and do the other parts. And, that's what they do for a living, which was the logic behind it. They do that all day long, every day. But what I've learned over the past few years, and several albums now, is because I'm not a quick learner, obviously, is that, like the guys and I play this stuff and it becomes ours, and that's what the crowd is into. And if they're coming to see us, that's what they like. And so this new album that we're putting out, this is the first track off of a new album, which will be the third album, is going to be entirely done that way. Because we were blown away by the process and how the song came out, and we love it. And the feedback has been amazing. Radio has been very receptive to it. Everybody's been really excited about the song. And so it's definitely different than anything else I've put out, because again, it's just us going to the studio the old fashioned way and doing it just real, raw. I mean, it's like it is when we play it on stage, and I'm liking it, and the guys are excited about it. And so this is going to be the way we're going to do the rest of the album, going forward, is just like that, man. We're going to go up in the studio and bang it out old school. And if you like it, great. If you don't, great. But that's what we're going to do.
It's funny how you almost worked backwards.
It is.
Like, you did the thing that most people work up to, which is getting into those studios with those incredible musicians. And you've already done that, but now you're working backwards, and you're like, no, I want my guys that know my sound and that know me and know what's in my ear. Like, it's funny, but it also makes a ton of sense. It makes so much sense.
It's crazy that, I think that I was just doing what everybody else does. Like, we're just, faking it till we make it, right? We're just winging. We're trying to do the best that we know how to do. And I just happened to be, call it fortunately or unfortunately, but I just happened to be in a position that, I took voice lessons from Tom McKinney, so he was able to introduce me to, David Huff and, guys like that, Shane Stevens. And so, like, these are big names that I had access to very early on, which, a lot of artists are going to grow and then they're going to move in that direction, and that's what they're going to do. And that's fine. I started out.
Discredit them at all. It's just, it's a matter of what works for each of you. Musicians are individuals.
That's right. And I guess what I learned from that was that just wasn't me. So nothing against it. I mean, and I love all those guys, man. Like, they're fantastic writers and they're fantastic producers and musicians and all that. Like, right. Like, it's just not what I do. And so if it's not real, it just doesn't set right,
I do. Well, I am so glad that you found your way with this. And honestly, I've got a ton more questions for you. So everybody's got to hang in here with us, but we're definitely going to debut it now on Maverick 100.9. This is Aggieland artist Will Carter and Wrong Side of Town. Due to copyright, Brian Broadcasting is not licensed to air this single for you in podcast form, but you can find it on all downloading and streaming platforms. And today's interview continues now. Wrong side of town. That was Aggieland artist Will Carter on Maverick 100.9. I'm joined by my friend Will right now, and we were talking about your new recording process, and you're going through a lot of new things. But I think the point you made so you've got this new band who's incredible. You guys have been booking really incredible shows that we need to talk about as well. But as you guys have gotten to know each other and play together, you're starting to find that they're actually helping you in the recording process as well.
That's right. In fact, we went to the so Wrong Side of Town was the first song that I tried this on, and then I just fell in love with this approach. And so we're over the top excited. I wrote a song on the way to the T3R Awards a few weeks ago, and and so last week at rehearsal busted that out with the guys, and it's just. They're just an amazing group of musicians. And I've known, my bass player has been with me for 8 years now.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy how, I can think something on stage and they just start doing it. You know what I mean? Like, cause we've been together for so long. He has been playing with this exact group for years in a cover band. And he finally came up to me like a year ago or 6 months ago and says, like when you're not playing, I'm playing with them. So, but then they have to go find a bass player, and why don't we team up? And because our drummer had just moved to Florida, we were swapping out guitar players, it's kind of cycling 2 or 3 different guys. I'm like, man, we just want to get a group together. And so he brings them to the table, and they're a fiddle player that fronts their band. So he sings lead vocals, plays fiddle. Can play anything. And then Dylan Dostal, obviously he was Drugstore Gypsies, and prior to that he was Sam Riggs and Case Donahue. And he's a phenomenal musician and all the way around. But so he sings. The drummer Jacob is an amazing lead vocalist and harmony singer. So like the whole group sings. They're used to basically fronting this band, but then they take turns fronting it themselves. Like they're all like kind of like frontmen, but just insanely talented, but super tight because they've been playing together for so long. So it was just kind of like a no-brainer. And then we got together, and the first show that we played was for the Texas Country Music Association's pre-party in the Stockyards last November.
I remember, yeah.
And it was off the chain. I mean, it was blown up. I mean, they called us this year. Normally they have a different artist that plays that every year. They called me a few months ago, and they're like, dude, we're going to give you twice as much money, and we want you back this November. I go, okay, well, we'll be there. And they had talked to me at the award show going, dude, no one's ever done that. You guys are amazing. And yada. So like, it's, that was, gig number 1, right?
Right.
And like gig number 2 was going to the studio and banging out Wrong Side of Town and going, dude, now that's what we've been missing. That's what we've been through, right? Like, I feel like I've been searching for it. Like I try this producer, I try that producer, I try a mix of these 2 producers, I just couldn't find it. You know what I mean? And then getting in the studio with those guys, I found it. And then, so last week, we busted out, I played that wrong, it's called All Wrong is the name of the song. And I played it, for them. And then I said, all right, let's try it out. Boom. And just like right off the cuff right there, I'm like, yeah, this is it. Like, it's just, I don't know. There's just a magical chemistry in the group. And then, like I changed management a couple of months ago as well. I had a 3-year deal that just ended. And so I switched to a new management team that's helped me find a new booking agent. And we've got we just signed with PLA Media for publicity. So we made some changes internally, but definitely all seem to be for the good. And you can tell by the calendar that's exploding the way that it is that it's looking like we're heading in the right direction.
Well, I think that's like knowing you. I know I've been lucky enough to meet your entire family, not just your wife, but I've hung out with your mother and your sisters, and I've even met your daughter. Like, you work in a family outlet, period. That's always how you've worked. You grew up, farming with your family and literally taking care of each other with what is grown from the earth. And I think that has been passed down to not just your construction business, which I'm sure it's all implicated there as well, but it's implicated in your music business as well. And you have searched and searched all these years to do everything the quote right way, when really it needed to be Will Carter's way. And what Will Carter does with everything is with love and passion and family. That's how you've always done everything. And I'm really happy to see you do that in your music, because I think we're going to hear, well, I've already listened to Wrong Side of Town. It is so relaxing. It is joyful. And it's one, and I hate to sound like a too cheesy or scripted, but it's like a cruising kind of song. And I always think about my own husband and I, how we used to drive around and listen to music, and that was our dates. That's what I think of. And I think you're kind of getting more of Will out there when people are going to listen to your music now. And I think that's because of the entire team that you're now surrounded by, if that makes sense. That was a rant.
It makes perfect sense to me. And I it's crazy that that's what I was, I think, struggling to say. So thank you for putting that so eloquently.
I don't think anybody would say that I say anything eloquently. The thoughts are in my brain, but it's different when you're talking to somebody that that you do consider a friend.
Sure.
Because I know lots of musicians, and I know that all of them work differently. I know some of them are still trying to find that path. And I'm really glad that you found it, and that you've literally shoved it into a record, and now we all get to hear what that sounds like, what a community sounds like when they work together. I think that's really cool. So,
well, this is a tough business all around. I tell young artists all the time, I'm like, man, if you better love it, because if you don't love it, if you can see yourself doing anything else, please go do that.
Yes. And I'm going to double that down on radio. I'm going to double that down on any form of the entertainment business. We all literally do it for love. That is it.
Yeah. I would not do this if I didn't love it, but it's a passion, or, you would have given up by now, right? It's in your blood.
Yeah.
I would say the hardest thing about it has been just that is figuring it out, because it's a cross between a passion and a business. And that is a real tough thing to balance, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think that the business part of me was just running at it with, okay, what makes sense, logically, I guess. And then what needed to happen was just kind of, and this is what I think has happened because of the success I've had on the other side, is I didn't have to care about that anymore. And I was like, I'm just going to continue to do what I love and do what I want to do. And I don't care. Like, if you like it, great. If you don't, great. Right. Yeah. So
I'm just here to make people happy, man. That's it.
Yep.
That's simple.
This is me. Like it, love it or leave it. So I think that helped a lot in that search for, what the answer was. But, finding that path that's right for you, I swear by it, for me, it was the hardest part of this whole thing. Yeah. So for the young artists out there, if I can give any advice, it's that don't try so hard.
Let it come naturally. Believe it or not, sometimes the answer is right in front of your face, like yours was. Like, right. That is rare that an entire band just comes together. It's not typically how it's done, but it did happen. And good on you for recognizing like what that was as a whole. Like, man, this is lucky. This is great. I'm going to use this, and we are going to be more entertaining because of it. Like, period.
No, I couldn't be more freaking excited. In fact, I had brought down the Tom Jackson team a few years ago with the release of the Good Bad Idea album to help us design the show. And it was great. I mean, the show went from, like most of our shows start where you're standing there with the guitar playing music and singing songs, to an actual show. And it was really good. It was a much better show. But it was missing something, I at the time I had some of the band couldn't be there, and then the band members changed, and I didn't get the most out of it. And then I've been so excited with this group and just how cohesive they are. I mean, how individually talented they are, as individuals, but then how collectively talented the group is and how cohesive it is. And so we're actually going to, I got the book for everybody. We've all read the book that teaches the theory behind, this live performance. And then the teams actually shows up Sunday night So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all day, we'll be working on this set design type thing. So, the calendar's full, and I could not be more excited about what the live show is going to look like after next week. Because it's just been organically been phenomenal. But now with some structure to it, and some strategy and all that, like, oh man, I'm chomping at the bit.
Right. Well, if you're chomping at the bit, I'm sure everybody listening is. Make sure that you find Will Carter's website, go out, see some live shows, because it is great. I've seen it. I've seen this band. They're wonderful. So please go check them out. And Will has more music on the way. You are recording right now, so we will keep in touch with you on that process. And y'all know, anything Aggieland Artist, we always have it here on Maverick. But Will Carter, thank you so much for coming to Maverick and giving us the lowdown on all these changes.
Well, thank you for having me as always, and gig 'em, Aggieland.